Epic. Not that one. The musical. What I would consider the most important pop culture phenomenon for Greek mythology fans in recent history. Huh? It spawned countless memes, animations, fan theories, and a very active fandom to boot. But for the uninformed, what is Epic the musical? I'll just let the main man explain it himself.
If you're new to my page and have absolutely no idea what's going on, or what Epic the Musical is even about, have no fear. I've got you. Epic is a musical adaptation of Homer's The Odyssey, and it tells the story of Odysseus, who after helping finish a 10-year-long war, has to sail through 600 miles of open waters, and he has to fight gods and monsters to make it back home to his kingdom, where his wife, the Queen of Ithaca, Penelope, and his son, the Prince of Ithaca, Telemachus, are waiting for him. But on his journey, my fellow friend, However, on his journey, he struggles with the idea of ruthlessness and whether it's a necessary component in protecting that which you care about. Now, the music of Epic is its own whole storytelling device, because each character has a designated instrument that shows up whenever they're around. But not only that, the music of Epic, as in the musical language, is such that the mortals have more traditional orchestration, and the more divine and magical elements we get into the show, the more electronic elements are incorporated into the music. So for example, we have two characters who have a lot of strings in their music, Penelope and Circe. However, Circe is a witch and a goddess, and so in Penelope's music, she has a lot of legato strings, and it sounds like this, like... But since Circe is a witch and has magical elements, she has electronic elements in her music, and so her strings have low-frequency oscillators, and they sound like this. Play. The story is divided into 9 sagas, and I call them sagas because I really liked Dragon Ball Z growing up, and they used to call their stuff like the Buu Saga and the Frieza Saga. And of those 9 sagas, the first 2 were already released almost a year ago. You may have heard some of the songs like this one. Or you may have heard this one. Saga of Epic is releasing on December 25th, and it introduces the big bad of the show. So, if any of this intrigues you, we actually have an Epic the Musical server with tons of amazing, kind, and supportive people who are also into Epic and are making really cool stuff all the time. And it's a really great place to get tons of updates about Epic. Let me know if you guys want a recap of Sagas 1 and 2.
And today, I just want to take a step back and analyze a certain character in Epic.
Who's that Pokemon? It's
Eurylochus.
Eurylochus. Eurylochus is a really interesting character who I don't see getting talked about really often. Maybe that's because my side of Twitter is just femboys and cats, one of which I do not want there, by the way. But yeah, I also wanted to take a step back and kind of run through his mentality and his role that he plays in the story. Eurylochus, played by this absolute chad, is first introduced in the 3rd song of the musical, Full Speed Ahead. This song takes place after the decade-long Trojan War, when Odysseus and his men are on their way home, and Eurylochus' first few words are showing concern for himself and the crew regarding their food supply. Well, obviously though, he's the second in command, but it also serves to show that Eurylochus does have the crew at heart. This is something important that will get played upon later. Odysseus reassures him and tells him they'll eventually find land, which they actually do. And Yuri suggests they strike first. I first interpreted this scene as Eurylochus being a coward and wanted to strike first before whatever is there has the chance to prepare. But looking back at it now, it's not an act of cowardice, despite him actually being a coward, but that's a story for another part of this video. Well, to me at least, it seems more like recklessness born from desperation, because they're hungry, and it isn't the last time Eurylochus is going to do something reckless out of hunger. Wink wink. Despite this, Odysseus arranges a small scouting group to make sure the island is safe showing why he's the captain. He also includes his best friend Polyphemus in the scouting team, and like, bro, I love this guy. Also, unrelated, there's this TikTok of Polyphemus I saw, and whenever I listen to this part of the song, I always have that part in my head. It's just like imbued there. Let me play it.
I say we strike first, we don't have time to waste, so let's break the place and...
No, Polyphemus, gear up. You and I'll go ahead.
Anyways, we then move on to the Cyclops saga.
You killed my sheep.
Here, Odysseus and his small scouting group have found a lot of sheep in a cave after being directed by the Lotus Eaters. And a neat detail I'd like to highlight here is what Eurylochus says after finding the sheep.
This is quite the treat. There are enough sheep here to feed the entire fleet.
Again, the crew is what's on his mind. I'm really trying to emphasize this here to show the weight of the things that happen later on. RIP Polyphemus, and we move on to remember them. This song serves to solidify the dynamic between Eurylochus and Odysseus. At every step of the way, Eurylochus is looking to their captain asking, what do we do? This is something Eurylochus does time and time again in moments of panic.
Captain! 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 But Captain, what do we do with our fallen friends?
Remember them.
Captain, where do we attack him?
We gotta stab him in the eye.
Yes, sir!
That is until the second Cyclops appears. And it's very important to note that Eurylochus is the first one to remark at this. Because this man is shaking, he's quaking in his boots, his timbers are shivered. Up until this point, they had the advantage, they had the numbers, they had the might. So Eurylochus wasn't all too bothered until the numbers evened and he realized they might actually be in danger. And if it's not clear to you, I'm trying to tell you this man is a coward. His first instinct here is retreat. And I'm not trying to say they should have just stayed and fought the other Cyclops, and yeah, that's just stupid. Obviously running away was the smarter option, but this man was literally begging Odysseus for them to run. These are not the words of a brave man. Like, I genuinely believe that while Eurylochus did have the crew's safety in mind, I mean, he said we should run instead of just straight bolting, but he was scared. And like other people in this, I'm sure others in the crew were scared as well, but it was Odysseus who even remembered to say, okay, let's take the ship. Side note, I always thought he said let's grab the ship, as in our boat, and run, not let's grab the sheep, meh, and run. Neat detail that I picked up. Okay, next saga.
Brace for a storm!
In this song, Odysseus and his crew are trying to get home, but their path has been blocked by, well, you guessed it, a storm. In this song, the crew's main concern is navigating that storm, but my main concern here is Eurylochus, and so far he's served as a sort of antagonistic force to Odysseus. He's been the pessimism to Odysseus's optimism. It doesn't end here, but this song and this saga as a whole is where we can feel his doubt in his captain the most. Well, second to that, but we're not there yet. Just bear with me here. When even looking through the song, you can see him disagreeing after like every line, almost like he wants to die.
We're taking too much damage to survive. Captain, we will capsize with these waves, our fleet will fail.
Have them follow my ship, all ensure that we prevail.
We'll beat the storm.
This song is a direct parallel to one of my favorite songs in Epic, but we are not there yet. Hold your horses. Here, Odysseus plans on climbing up to the island of the wind god Aeolus, but Eurylochus is against it. This song serves to show how scared Eurylochus actually is. He'd rather try to navigate the storm that he himself didn't have hope of crossing through because he deems speaking to a god too risky. And that is understandable. Like, we do not know the capabilities of these gods. But aside from that fear, remember that doubt I mentioned? It's stirring up here. He trusts his captain to always have a plan, but is it a good plan? He does deem Odysseus capable, but Odysseus relies on his wit a lot, and Eurylochus is starting to doubt that that will always be enough. I have hammered on about Eurylochus' cowardice and cautiousness, but in this moment he's checking Odysseus on not being cautious enough. Like hell, one of the main melodies of this song is how much longer till your luck runs out. He deems a lot of the stuff Odysseus pulls off luck because of his recklessness. He even tells Odysseus that he relies on wit and people die on it. An opinion I'm sure exists in no small part to, the Cyclops. But Odysseus pulls him aside and tells him to get his shit together and just comply so they pose a united front and no one dies. And Eurylochus begrudgingly agrees. Keep your friends close doesn't really have a lot of Eurylochus dialogue. I just wanted to point out that his first and only line in the song is after the windbag is opened. Yeah, that's all from this saga. Anyways.
I've got all the power. No, I'm not a player, I'm a puppeteer. No, I don't play, I'm Puppeteer, yeah.
Here, Eurylochus feels the guilt of opening a certain windbag. After all, it was what directly led to the death of 557 of his crew members. Odysseus dismisses it and sends him to scout Circe's island, mirroring the situation where they ended up on Polyphemus' island. But here he attempts to complain, but Odysseus doesn't seem like he wants to hear it, so he just waves him off. Eurylochus is back a while later with no men and begins to recount what happened with Circe. She turned up the pigs, by the way. Odysseus tells him they need to go save them, but Eurylochus, to no one's surprise, refuses. His reasoning here is going to save those men would basically be suicide, and he's not ready to sacrifice the majority of his men for the minority that got turned to pigs. This definitely stems from their number being thinned from all the monsters they faced so far. Like, he literally even says,
Look at all we've lost and all we've learned. Every single cost is so much more than what we've earned. Think about the men we have left before they're none. Let's just cut our losses, you and I, and let's run.
Every single battle they faced so far, they've lost more than they could ever gain. From the Cyclops to Poseidon to probably even the storm, because they had mentioned that their ship was taking damage. Odysseus explains that he has to go save them, but Eurylochus immediately tries to convince him, but his conviction is set. Am I still going to use this as a point to call Eurylochus a coward? Yes, I am. Sure, on the surface it might seem like, oh, let's not thin our numbers anymore, let's not sacrifice the majority, I care about the crew. And sure, that might be true, but he's also being a coward here, because although running is the most logical option, he hasn't tried yet. They haven't even tried. He's running at the speculation that she might be unkillable or too strong for them to kill. Eurylochus here, if he wanted to run to preserve himself, logically that is the best option, but he has men there, crew members who are giving their lives to this. So he is still being a coward by choosing to just leave everyone and just run. And by everyone I meant his crew members that he left at the palace. The most interesting line in this song is this one.
It's a game of wits.
Eurylochus is even giving Odysseus an out. He doesn't need to play her game because Eurylochus believes this is a game he will lose. After all, it's his wit that put them in this very situation in the first place. That very doubt has been growing stronger. And this is kinda confirmed by the song itself, with Circe stating multiple times that she's not a player in the game but a puppeteer. She controls the whole game, which is why she could only be defeated when an unknown variable was added into the equation. Huh. Must have been the wind.
Pride is a damsel in distress.
Next time we hear from Eurylochus, it's in Scylla. The guilt that had been killing Eurylochus since the Circe saga had reached its peak. He finally confesses to Odysseus, who is silent. He doesn't even respond to Eurylochus, instead asking him to light up 6 torches, and at no point is he ever stated that Odysseus forgives him for his betrayal. He deadass did not even answer. Let's kind of take a step back and analyze why Eurylochus betrayed Odysseus and opened the bag in the first place. Eurylochus trusts Odysseus, at least on a very surface level. He trusts Odysseus with his life, even with how much he's gone along with them. But being a good captain doesn't make him a good person. Odysseus, being the warrior of the mind that he is, has been portrayed to be very cunning and very much manipulative at certain times. Like, this image literally exists. This is one of the places where Eurylochus's doubt of Odysseus stems from. Like, when the bag was first given to Odysseus, they all suspected it was treasure. Even among the crew members, there were rumors of it being treasure. And with his ever-growing doubt of the captain, he opens the bag to confirm and ease his own mind. But sadly enough, Odysseus was telling the truth. 6 men sacrificed to Scylla. Eurylochus is frustrated. He is looking for an excuse for Odysseus, something to try and rationalize what just happened. He wants Odysseus to give him a good reason for it. A bad one, heck, even a lie, just anything. But Odysseus screams back he can't. He doesn't have an excuse this time. And as Eurylochus watches the trust he put in this man, his ideals and belief in this man shattered to pieces, he is pissed. They both watch each other with their blood boiling. Odysseus betrayed by his friend, Eurylochus betrayed by his captain, both of them betrayed by their brother. Eurylochus engages first and a battle between the 2 men ensues. Odysseus seems to have the upper hand till he is literally stabbed in the back by a crew member. Another bit. And looking into the eyes of the men who had betrayed him, he passes out. This scene is one of, if not my favorite in the whole of Epic. Eurylochus, who felt guilt about betraying this man, watched him become a monster who went from literally putting his own life in danger to willingly sacrificing those same men for his own goals. A lot of people like to call out Eurylochus for being a hypocrite because he wanted to do the same in Puppeteer. But, well, I'm not defending him. I just feel like his reasoning for this is Odysseus is the captain. He's supposed to be the anchor to Eurylochus when he's been a coward. He's someone Eurylochus put his faith in to step up whenever he can't. And that's why on a personal level it hurts so much more, because at multiple other instances he has stepped up. And that is why when Odysseus was saying,
Don't make me fight you, brother. You know you'd have done the same.
and Eurylochus replied,
If you want all the power, you must carry all the blame.
it was because at the end of the day, Whether Eurylochus would have done the same or not doesn't matter. What matters is Odysseus is here and did that thing in the now. It's Eurylochus telling him that as the captain, you don't get to be selfish. This is your fault. Take accountability. And I feel this pain is exacerbated not just by the fact that he sacrificed the men, but he used Eurylochus as an unknowing executioner. So in a way, on a very personal level, Eurylochus feels like those men that died are because of him. He picked who got to be eaten. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Throughout the story, Eurylochus has always confided in Odysseus directly in terms of pearl. He always takes up issues about Odysseus with Odysseus, not just because he's his captain, but because they're friends and brothers. Eurylochus knows Odysseus. While he's not the best person, as a captain, he has gotten them really far. He cannot be replaced. Eurylochus knows he's not fit to take up the role, even if they try to replace him, which is why he still goes along with almost anything Odysseus says, because at the end of the day, their goals align. Get home with their crew safe and sound. But now, a time like that exists only in memory. Who wrote this script? God damn! Dramatic much? Odysseus is ready to trade friends like object he could use and hurt more lives than he can count on his hands because
I am the monster, rah rah rah.
I'm sorry, I just had to add that in. Later on, Odysseus wakes up and is tied up on an island to Eurylochus filling him in. He tells him they are on the sun god's island and they plan to eat his cattle. This part of the song reflects so many parts of epic and so many aspects of Eurylochus as a character and his mental state at that point. One neat detail is Eurylochus addresses him as Odi, not captain like before, indicating he doesn't acknowledge him as the captain anymore. First of all, the song is a direct parallel to Luck Runs Out. Remember when I mentioned that? With there being an exact line shared between the two songs, just being said by different people, and the very obvious repeated melody, if that's what you call it. Also, it's one of the only songs where Eurylochus makes a request with no added benefit to the crew. He's speaking purely in terms of himself, and Odysseus is too. They are both making selfish requests while the other one does not listen. Keep your friends close was Eurylochus warning Odysseus about the gods, while in Mutiny is Odysseus warning Eurylochus to be cautious about the gods. But they all fall on deaf ears. Eurylochus is tired at this point. The crew is tired at this point. They have gone through so much and they don't even see any hope left. They can't keep watching people die like this. Their last flame of hope was extinguished when the person they looked up to guide them home started using their lives as bargaining chips. They are done and would rather take their chances against a god than go out again at sea and starve there. Or would they? Eurylochus then says he's just a man, a phrase that somehow found its way into every saga in the musical. A phrase he's using here to communicate his helplessness in the situation. If there was any other option, he would jump at it, but he can't bear the suffering anymore. After all, he is just a man. They proceed to stab one of the cattle, but it is immortal, a fact Odysseus mentioned beforehand, and now panic ensues. What were they thinking? They were not. What plan did they have in mind? They didn't. Snapping out of their hunger-induced suicide attempt, Eurylochus looks to Odysseus and calls out to him, Captain. Here, they are again in imminent danger, and Eurylochus has reverted to calling him Captain again. He doesn't know what to do, and gives authority right back to the person who does. It's such a heartbreaking detail. Throughout the story, whenever Eurylochus didn't know what to do, especially in times of danger, he always called out to his captain. But this time, He couldn't save them, but he wasn't just going to give up. Their plan? Run. They began rowing like their lives depended on it, because it did, but the sound of thunder brings them to a halt. Zeus comes in and starts yapping about undressing Odysseus' true nature or some stuff like that, and he gives him an ultimatum to choose between he and his crew. In the final scene between Eurylochus and Odysseus, he calls out to his captain one last time, but he can't save him because this time he's directly responsible for his death. And admittedly, it's a hard decision for Odysseus. Eurylochus doesn't even argue it. It's ironic how one of the only decisions Odysseus makes that he doesn't contest is the one that would literally kill him and the crew. But he accepts his fate and is killed by Zeus. Wow, that was a ride. Eurylochus is such an amazing character in Epic, and I'm really glad Jorge made him a bit more complex. I've not read the original Odyssey, so I don't know how he is compared to there, but I really had fun with this video and analyzing Eurylochus in general. But if there's anything you'd like to add or remove from my analysis, the comment section is open. And yeah, due to the channel size, I have no choice but to read whatever you guys comment. So I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I want to thank all of the animators I used their work in this video. I tried to get a large amount of diverse creators and animatics so I can showcase the talent in this fandom as much as possible. I have linked all of their channels and even the TikToks and everything. I've linked everything down there, so you guys should go show support to all of them. Like, they are really amazing creators. So yeah, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, support your boy. But yeah, that's all I have for this. Goodbye. I wonder what's going on in the Glory fandom.